Hey everyone, and welcome back for another SCS software stream. Hope you're doing well. Joining us in the studio, we have Mark. Mark, you're looking very different today. Something's missing. What's going on?
I got into a fight with my beard
No,
trimmer.
you didn't even tell me this before the stream, and now I see this. This doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem right. Well, it's good to have you anyway. Mark's our community manager, and well, I hope you're having a good week anyway, Mark.
Yeah, you as
Uh,
well.
Yeah, not doing too bad. And chat, thank you for being here as well. Of course, you're back for another Let's Play episode. It's episode 40. Big milestone for American Truck Simulator, actually. Episode 40. And not only are we going to be doing a bit of a Let's Play, but we're also going to be doing something a little bit different. We're doing our very first kind of like Ask Me Anything. And we're going to be doing it with Mark.
hmm
Mark, you went ahead and kind of posted a little topic about it on our forums and on some Discords, right?
Yeah, absolutely. On the forum and a couple of Discords I'm in, I just kind of, wanted to reach out to the community, see if they had any particular questions
Hmm.
for me, I guess. I just wanted to, have something to talk about this stream and what else to talk about. What's better than talking about yourself, right?
Yeah. So we're going to be asking some questions to Mark. And of course, chat on YouTube and on Twitch, who are live on right now. You also have the opportunity to ask some questions a little bit later in the stream. But if you do want to post your questions beforehand, you can head over to our forums, forums.scsoft.com. You can find it in the off-topic section of our forums. There you got the Mark from SCS Software Ask Me Anything thread. So that's forum.scsoft.com. But first and foremost, this is a Let's Play stream, so we've got to get down to business. If you've not joined us for one of these streams before, basically we've started from scratch, and we're building up our company from zero to hopefully one of the biggest in the American trucking empire, basically. And so far, so good. We've been doing pretty well. How's it looking, Mark, with our company?
It's looking really good. Let's hop in. We got lots of money.
Hmm.
So we can take a look at our drivers. We'll start with the bank, I guess, right?
Yes, let's
See
take
where
a
we're
look.
at with our loan and everything. What is that? Hold on, I got I got something in front of me. Okay, so we still owe $319,000, which is costing us $5,788 a day, which I think isn't too bad. We're making at least that.
It's not awful.
Yeah, so I think we'll just leave that be. And our drivers, let's see where they're at. So everyone's pretty profitable, actually. Everyone's doing really, really well.
Which is
Yeah.
good, which is what we need, actually,
Yeah.
because well, we want to be making that 5,000 plus some more on the side each day to pay that bank loan. But in
hmm
terms of, we got 4 drivers right now bringing in
Yep,
some
four
money, so
drivers. Yeah.
we got a good amount. And also, if you're still new to this, by the way, the rules are that we kind of have to do everything mostly by the book. It seems like, but we're trying our best to kind of keep down the straight and narrow. We got fines on. We have to play by the rules and exactly how the game is kind of meant to be played. So Rich, I do love your suggestion for. Oh, was it Rich? Who was it? No, it was Air Cruise. Thank you for your suggestion for the Fast Money XP mod. But unfortunately, we're not allowed to use that. We got to play legit, play by the books here. So we're gonna be earning by taking jobs and hiring jobs and investing our money. And that's also where you come into play, chat, because you also get to play a bit of a part in helping us invest our skills. You kind of give us advice. Maybe we'll give you some decisions, vote on some polls on how we can change the direction of the company for the better, hopefully, if you're not going to sabotage us. And eventually, really make our way into the logistics business here in American Truck Simulator. But so far, so good. Things are steady. We've got a good base ground. Mark's worked very hard on building a very good foundation after Namiro did some things with it. And yeah.
I just want to throw out that when I started, you guys were naysayers. You guys thought I was
Let's Play.
really.
Who
What's going
managed
on
to
over there?
last stream he well he flipped a new truck. So
Hold on, what?
yeah. Well, we got to level 12. He got like the cab extension that he wanted, made all these upgrades,
hmm
and then proceeded to flip the truck. So yeah, we got a bit behind on the job there, and there was a bit of damage to repair. So yeah. It's a little bit behind.
And he's had 3 episodes of ETS2 Let's Play since our last episode of ETS Let's Play.
That's true. That is true.
You got some catching up to do, Peter.
Yes, he does indeed. All right. Well, speaking of jobs, let's take a look through the market here. Let's see what's on offer for us. Right now, we're in Wyoming,
Hmm.
and we're looking at some jobs here to see what would do best for us right now.
So I'd really like to go into Nebraska. I haven't
Hmm.
spent a ton of time in there yet outside of the company testing. So I'm thinking, what's that, 41.12 a mile versus? Oh yeah, this is definitely paying pretty good. So chat, what do you think? Should we take a ride into North Platte? Um, do some driving in the new Nebraska DLC, newest
I think it'd be
DLC.
cool. Yeah, you can see we haven't unlocked many cities in that state,
Hmm.
so it'd be pretty nice. Cross the state border, heading over to the Midwest.
Yeah, we got
Very, very
approval
cool.
from B9 and Nader and
Oh well, if
Victor. So
B9 says it, then I mean it has to go, right? I mean,
absolutely.
yeah.
All right.
All right, well, we'll go pick up on that job. In the meantime, just a quick reminder, chat, it is the final day of the Steam Summer Sale. So I think you've got about less than an hour left until it hits 10 a.m. Pacific, which is the time that it ends. So if you do want to pick up on some great deals on American Truck Simulator, Euro Truck Simulator 2, and all of the DLCs and our content, maybe any other games you're looking out for, uh, head on over to Steam right now. Probably be best to do that before the stream ends, otherwise you might be a bit too late. But yeah, if you didn't know, we have an incredible discount on our base game. So if you're looking to maybe tell your friends, you want them to come convoying with you, you want to flip their trucks, whatever, you know, go check it out. I think it's like the cheapest our base game has ever been in the history of SES so far. So it's a very, very good deal. So
When
make
does that
sure to
sale
head
end?
on over that. Today, in like an hour's time. That's
Oh,
why I'm putting
really?
the reminder out. Yeah, today in
Oh,
about an hour.
okay.
So you want to make sure to get a good deal. That's the place where to go. And also, massive thank you to everybody that took part in our Wilder Trucks events, because I know both of them have now been completed. Both of them have reached their community goals. That's, of course, the Cruising Nebraska Wilder Trucks event, and also the Trade Connection Switzerland one, which is for Euro Truck Simulator 2, which hit its goal yesterday of 20 million tons of cargo. So if you've taken part in those events, make sure to claim your personal and community rewards via the website, watertrucks.com. And if you haven't done those jobs yet, for your personal goal, you still have a little bit of time. Both of those events end on July 14th. So that's this Sunday, end of the week. So make sure you do take part in those as well, because there are some really cool little in-game items up for grab for your truck cab. So make sure you do take care of those if you'd like to. Whew. All right. Well, we're on the road, and we're heading to Nebraska. I hope the chat is well. Let's get a little bit of a location check in the chat as well. Tell us where you're watching from in the world. Would love to know. But first and foremost, of course, one of the main events of today that we've been talking about is, of course, Mark's Ask Me Anything, which we talked about a little bit at the start of the stream. And we're going to get through some questions here any minute now from various different platforms. So we'll definitely get onto that. But let's have a look at our location check. We've got people watching from Belgium, the Philippines, California, Netherlands, Connecticut, Virginia, Australia, Chicago, Oklahoma. We've got Canada in the chat as well. We've got Scotland, Asia, Iceland, France, Denmark, Texas. We got people from all over the world. Thank you, everybody, for coming along. We appreciate you. We hope you're having a good week so far, and maybe enjoying a little bit of the summer weather as well. I know it's pretty hot down in some parts of Europe at the moment, and across as well. So, good stuff. All right, well, Mark, are you ready to be put into the hot seat? Because our community has been asking you some questions.
I am an open book, Alex. Whatever you got for me, whatever they got for me.
Sounds good. Well, let's first things first. Maybe for some of the new viewers that have maybe tuned in for the first time and maybe aren't really familiar with our streams, that might be here for the first time, maybe do a little introduction about yourself, maybe a little bit of a background.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Mark, of course. I'm from Canada. I was a truck driver there for 14 years. I grew up in trucking. My dad owns a trucking company. I came here back in October to SES Software in Prague. I moved to Prague, and so now I'm working here as a community manager and consultant, doing live streams with you lovely people and helping the fine folks, the team at SES, to really do the best they can do with the game. And
yeah, and it's great to have you. I mean, it feels like you've only it doesn't feel like it was just yesterday that you just arrived, but in fact, it's now been quite a while that you've been here at SES now.
Yeah, I
So
think it's going on like 10 months now or something.
settling in, I imagine, pretty
Yeah.
well. So, which is really, really nice. So we're going to head over to the forums first, forums.scsoft.com. We're going to take questions from there first. And if we make this a bit more of a regular thing in the future, that will probably be one of the main platforms where we take questions from first and foremost. So make sure you're registered on there, get used in the forums, because our team look at those forums every day, and there's all sorts of different sections as well where you can make suggestions and talk about different discussions and all sorts. So first and foremost, the first question coming in from Smarland AB from the forums, and they ask, Mark, nice initiative from you, by the way, about the Ask Me Anything. But how were you introduced to the trucking industry / culture, and how was your first job as a truck driver?
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, it kind of ties into what we were just talking about. So my dad has actually been a truck driver since before I was born. He was driving a float truck, moving equipment for a paving company in Toronto. And one of my earliest memories is, riding in that truck with him and going to pick up a roller and a compactor and moving it just from, I think he came to the house with the empty truck and trailer, and then we went and loaded them up, and then we came back in his pickup truck. But since then, I've just been hooked. I had like a million little Hot Wheels and Majorette and Matchbox trucks, all, used to sit there on the carpet and play with them when I was like 4 and 5 years old, right? Had Lego trucks. I started playing, my very first trucking game ever was Hard Truck 2 by the 1C company. And shortly after that, I got Hard Truck 18 Wheels of Steel, then 18 Wheels of Steel Across America and Pedal to the Metal and all those games by SES Software, of course. So I'm a veteran player of the games as well as a veteran truck driver, though some might say at 14 years experience I still have a lot to learn. But yeah, so it was kind of a natural thing for me. Like even when I was in high school, I took courses and classes related to. Did I go to the right place here? Because I feel like the load has disappeared.
Uh-oh.
Well, let's see what else we got going in Nebraska. We got McCook, Columbus. Oh, Columbus looks like a good one. That's a nice haul. All right, we'll just go for that. A nice
alternative.
Yeah. And a nice chemical tanker behind our new Pete here will be nice. I did a co-op at Peterbilt dealership in my hometown when I was in grade 12 and learned something about trucks and turned some wrenches and pushed some brooms and kind of cut my teeth that way. And I actually got started, my very first trucking job was for a local deli in the next town over, hauling frozen and fresh meat to delis in Toronto and Southern Ontario. And I actually have a picture of the very first truck I drove. So maybe once I get hooked up to this trailer, I will pull that up really quick.
I think they've just been put on the stream. Yeah, it's already up, right?
You have it there? The very first job?
Is it the meat depot by any chance?
The meat depot. How do you know that? Oh, there it is. Okay.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, so it was an old Freightliner FL70 with some kind of little Detroit motor and a 9-speed manual. So they had a couple other trucks I drove as well, International 4700 and this little GMC Isuzu kind of truck, little cab over cube van truck. Where's my hook trailer? There it is. So I was working for them for about a year, and after that, I borrowed some money from my dad and bought my very first truck, because by then he had started his company. And there it is. That's the day I brought it home, my very first 2005 Peterbilt.
I bet you were so proud.
Oh, I was like in heaven. Like I thought my first truck was going to be something like an old Freightliner Century or an old white Volvo or something, and we just got lucky with that. There was a guy that was leaving the industry, and he was selling that truck, and it fell into our lap for the right price, and I drove that truck for 4 years. Yeah, it was a good truck. Never had to do anything to it. All I did was put a turbo on it and a water pump. Other than that, never left me stranded.
Wow, what a beaut!
Yeah.
What a beaut. That's lovely. It's great that we have the photos there as well. And in fact, I expected your first truck to be a little bit smaller, actually. Like, I thought it'd be a bit more compact than the one that you got to drive for the very first time, which is I mean, it must have been a bit like nerve-wracking at the start, right? Or what would you say?
Not really, because I kind of grew up riding, in my dad's trucks, like
It
in the
felt
summer
comfortable.
between, during school break and stuff like that, Christmas break, March break. Any chance I had, I was in the passenger seat of my dad's truck. So honestly, even going to driving school the first time, like just driving the truck almost even felt natural because I was so used to all those hundreds or thousands of kilometers of listening to my dad driving and shifting. I kind of already had a rough idea like what the shift points were and what to do and how to back up the trailer. So, I still had a lot to learn. It took me a long time to really become fluent with it, but I definitely think I had a little bit of a head start as opposed to someone who, has never been in a truck before.
Understandable. So it kind of felt comfortable to you, would you say?
Yeah.
Then definitely, yeah. Okay.
Actually, we even have some photos of my dad's old trucks that I used to ride in. Jacob?
Let's have a look at those. Yeah.
There we go. Okay,
Oh,
so let's
wow.
pause on this one for a second. So this one actually has a really sad story. So I don't remember where this truck came from. It was either Bell City Cartage out of Kitchener, or it was a Big Wheels truck. Both Canadian companies that used a similar color motif there. And that truck was on the road with my dad for a week before it was completely and totally written off. Jacob, if you go to the next picture.
Oh.
Yeah, that was it. So he got cut off on the highway, and he was pulling a 5-axle trailer loaded with rebar, and there was like really bad grooves in the highway. And the second he kind of came out of the groove, because the 5-axle trailer has a tendency to want to go straight, the truck just flipped around, jackknifed. You can see where the trailer cut into the sleeper there. And he went across 3 lanes of oncoming traffic into a construction site. Nobody was injured. Nobody was killed, and there was one minor injury. And everyone was like, they called it Miracle on the 401 because it happened on Highway 401 in Toronto. After that was an orange ex-Skelton truck, if you got that one. So that's the truck when it was still for Skelton. So that's anyone that knows Canadian trucks. Skelton has this very unique paint scheme, the orange with the silver stripes.
A high vis,
Yes.
like color for a truck, right? It's like a high vis vest. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was it when my dad had it. So he was doing flatbed for the
Machine.
same company where he had the collision at, and he kind of needed a truck really quick. He always wanted, a Peterbilt and a Kenworth when he wanted a truck. So he had his Kenworth for a week, but then he was in a bind. He really needed to get something quick. So he ended up with this Ford LTL 9000. And for those of you that are maybe new to trucking, don't know that Ford used to make Class 8 highway semi-trucks. There's one right there. That's the big daddy of Ford semi-trucks. 4 1/4 mechanical cat. Stalled the truck. 15-speed overdrive. Yeah, that was a good truck. So I spent some time in that truck. And then the next one would have been... Actually, there was one in between this, but I don't have any photos of it. It was a Freightliner FLD Classic. He drove that for about 5 years, and then he hopped into that truck, which Jacob just pulled down. Jacob sorted his hands up in the booth. So this truck right here, he bought this truck brand new in 2003. It was a show truck made by London, Premier Peterbilt of London, Ontario.
Okay.
Shout out to London, being named for London, England.
Yep.
But yeah, they built that as a show truck for the Fergus Truck Show. So that was on display there. And after the truck show was done, my dad actually purchased it, put it on with ICI Carriers out of Tilbury, Ontario, and there it was in all its glory back in its heyday.
Wow.
And fun fact, that is the truck I would later buy, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, honestly, cool range of trucks. I gotta say that Ford truck.
Yeah.
Ridge R5 in the chat described it perfectly. It looks so muscular. I mean,
it's got a really
big truck.
Yeah, it's got like just a super beefy look to it, right?
Yeah, but it's a cool. I like it. I kind of like it actually. I had no idea though. What a cool truck. What a cool truck. Well, thank you for sharing that. We'll get on to the next question here.
Yeah.
Might have to speed up a little bit because I know we're going to have to get quite a few here. But this one's coming in from Desperado. By the way, I should have said this at the start. A little bit of a quick ramble. There might be some questions, obviously, that Mike not be able to answer. Maybe some obvious ones about the future of SCS or DLCs, and maybe some other things that maybe we can't really share. So don't be too offended if maybe a question isn't answered fully or not able to answer it. It's just how it is, unfortunately. So obviously in the future we'll share news on any future developments, but I think most of the questions we've got here are okay. This one coming in from Desperado, asking Do you at SES have all the data on the trucks available in game? I would be particularly interested in the original steering wheel turns from lock to lock, as I like to drive all trucks again and again. Could even set up a 2500 degrees lock to lock. And also asking, to what extent are the gearboxes and their values that are in the game accurate, as I like to drive with a manual 13 or 18 gear shift? I guess you could answer that. I guess you kind of have experience now in both.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So as far as the specs we get from the manufacturers, it kind of varies from the manufacturer and even by the truck model, depending what they have available. Oh, what happened there? We just lost a gear. So generally speaking, yeah, we get everything we require, everything we need. Our partners are really good with that and getting us what we need. As far as the steering, they're all pretty close, or should be pretty close to what's available in real life. Some might be a little less or a little more. It's different from truck to truck, not even model to model. Depending on how wide your tires are, the manufacturer might put stoppers in the steering so that the tires don't hit the steering box when you turn all the way to lock and stuff like that. So we kind of try to go with a middle ground number between the two extremes. Generally speaking, I'll say that the lock-to-lock steering of a real truck is something like 2 1/4 turns. Or not lock to lock, but from center to lock is usually 1, 2 1/4. Yeah. I guess I should steer in the game instead of thinking about it in real life.
Yeah.
And as far as the transmissions go, they're all based on real gear ratios, and actually Eaton's website is really good for that. They actually provide all the gear ratios right on their website. So we obviously use any material available to us to keep things as accurate as we can. The rear end ratios we kind of try to choose based on what's most popular. We use real life references about how people are actually speccing their trucks. So, for example, the 18 speed is really like a heavy haul transmission, but we have it geared pretty low with, I think, a 325 rear end or a 336 or something. So generally that's what we're seeing specced in these trucks, especially like Long Hood, Peterbilt, and Kenworth. People are opting for a lower gear ratio that gets them kind of some speed when they're out in these western states like we are right now, right? So yeah, again, it's kind of a game of trying to cover as many bases as we can, because obviously, we could put in 1,000 different transmission options, but it would get clustered and ugly, and we try to keep things kind of, more simple, because not everyone might be looking for that super in-depth gameplay, right?
Right. Yeah, it's about trying to find a kind of level playing ground for everyone, where you kind of have the options for people that are a bit more hardcore and other ones that just like to kind of just drive, which is totally fine as well, of course.
Exactly.
But always interesting to kind of learn how it kind of compares from real life trucking to the virtual world here. And yeah, I'm sure many agree that it feels, pretty realistic, besides, missing maybe like vibrations and a few other little bits as well. But yeah, absolutely. Of course, those things might come in time with technology. Who knows? Next question here coming from 556, one of our 4 members. Saying this is a cool idea, by the way, for the Ask Me Anything. And their question is, what was the toughest and scariest situation you've ever encountered while driving on the road?
So that's an easy one. It was something that humbled me a little bit. I was being a little bit overconfident. I was driving through Kentucky in an ice storm. And ice storm and a snowstorm. It was a really, really rough winter day. And Kentucky doesn't normally get snow this bad. And this was back in 2021, I want to say. And it was kind of early on in the winter too. No, I'm all confused exactly what the timing was. It was either the end of winter or the start of winter, but either way, it was kind of not really within the season for us to get this kind of snow. Right. And I was south of Lexington, southbound on I-75, and I noticed all the trucks were in the left 2 lanes. And the right lane was pretty rough. There was a lot of ice, a lot of snow on it, and the left 2 lanes were pretty, okay, because everyone had been driving on it. So me being a Canadian, I got good tires. I got 4-way lockers. I'm in my W990, my 21 W990 with a full tanker of vegetable oil. And, I'm just running the right lane. I'm passing everyone. I'm thinking I'm, the coolest, baddest trucker out there, right? Well, I come around a bend, and because it was a left-hand bend and all the trucks were in those 2 left lanes, and I couldn't see coming around the bend, there was actually a snowplow, 2 snowplows. One was doing the right lane, one was doing the right shoulder, and that's why that right lane was so crappy is because they were trying to scrape ice off, and the ice was all kind of just sticking to the concrete.
Got
right?
it. Got it.
So I jumped on the brakes, and oh boy, I bet you wouldn't need very much measuring tape to figure out what the distance was between me and that snowplow by the time I come to a stop. And I actually ended up steering it into, like, off the shoulder a little bit in towards the ditch. And I thought for sure when after that I pulled off onto the next exit ramp, I thought for sure that the fender was going to be cracked and that the bumper was going to be bent and all the steps were going to be bent. And, luckily everything was perfect. Everything was fine. And that was a real humbling moment for me that, okay, I got to chill out a little bit. And, remember, if everyone else is doing something, there's probably a reason they're doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that was definitely just me being an ego, having an ego and thinking that, oh, these Southern guys don't know how to drive in the snow. I'm going to show them, right? But that was 100% on me. I'm just, thankful that I was paying attention and I wasn't on my phone or doing anything stupid. And that, the second I saw those snowplows, I got on the brakes and got that truck stopped with a fully loaded tank behind me. So,
love it. I mean, those are the things that make you learn, right? When you're on the road, those are the experiences that build you and grow you as a driver and kind of make you what you are in your career. I mean,
absolutely.
Those are career-defining moments is basically the way to put it, right? Really kind of makes you the best. Is that a real one or is that a 2D one? It's a real one, okay. I know you get those 2D ones out. You get the cardboard cutouts or whatever they are. They just sit on the side of the road.
Yeah, they do that in like little towns in the U.S. They're just trying to slow down traffic coming into the town, and they don't want to, maybe they don't have the capacity to have an officer sitting there, so they'll put like cardboard cutouts, or they'll like take an old Saturn or something and just paint police decals on it and just leave it sitting in front of someone's yard. Like,
yeah, I've seen them even put like little like old sirens on the top that just kind of spin slowly with the red light or whatever, just to make it look like there's something going on there. Here in the UK, they just have, I've seen like cardboard cutouts of policemen in petrol stations, for example.
Really?
And from a distance, sure, but once you get up close, it's just a guy standing there like this, just waving out the window.
Right.
So it looks terrible. All right, but thank you for your questions, everybody. They're really good questions, actually, coming from the forum and such. We're going to move on to our next one. This one's coming from, this is going to be a bit of a mouthful to say. I hope I get it correct. I apologize if it's incorrect. Parasaurolophus 67. I hope that's correct.
Okay.
And they were just wondering why you decided to work for SCS and leave Canada to live in the Czech Republic.
Okay, yeah. So that's something we talked about before in one of my earlier streams, but if you guys missed it. So basically, I had kind of some things in my life had occurred where I was kind of done with trucking, and I was already looking for an exit strategy, and I had already sold my trucks, and I was working as a mechanic in Oshawa, Ontario, working on Jeeps and Dodges and stuff like that, putting lift kits in them and big tires. And I had already run into Namiro and Oscar and Mr. Chenda and some of the other guys from SCS at Truck World Canada, a convention that happens in Toronto every 2 years. And so we had gotten talking, and we had done some sound recording with them, me and my friend Dan Eichhorn, and we had kind of kept in touch a little bit, me and Oscar and me and Namiro. And they asked me last year when they were in March 2023, when they were going to the MATS convention, if I wanted to come down and help. And they invited Dan as well, Dan Eichhorn, but he... Comfy Sauce, he's sometimes here in the chat, but maybe not today. He couldn't make it, unfortunately, but I went down, just helped them kind of run the booth and ran the simulator for them when they had like meetings and stuff like that. But it was cool, got to hang out with them, got to hang out with Oscar and Namiro a lot, and Chenda and everyone else. And we got talking one day over breakfast, and Oscar was saying, like, Mark knows so much about trucking, we should like make him a beta tester or something like that. And they said, yeah, no, we're not really doing the external beta tester thing anymore. Like, we have them in the office, right? And I was like, I'll move to Czech Republic. Sure, I got nothing going on, right? Like, I was just, kind of half joking and thinking nothing would really come from it. And Namir was like, oh yeah, like I'll talk to our HR girl about it and all that. And then next thing you know, a few months later, he's not going to stop, is he?
No.
That must be someone that came from Namiro's driving school. So I got sure enough, I got a call from someone at HR, and we had a Discord call, and we did some paperwork. And in the meantime, I actually got a job at a driving school while I was waiting to come over, waiting for my visa paperwork and all that. So it was just kind of like the right time. Like if I had been offered that job a year earlier, I probably would have said no. I had a girlfriend at the time, and I had the truck loan and stuff like that. So it was just the right time, and everything that was going on in my life, it was like I was ready to make that move. So yeah, just right place, right time, I guess.
Yeah, meant to happen. That's
Mm.
cool. That is very, very cool. And that kind of leads on to the next question a little bit, because Eggtooth here was asking a similar question about that you came to work for SCS. Of course, you just answered that. But they also ask, how did you find out about the game, and how do you like the work so far?
So I found out about the game, as we discussed earlier. I've been playing these games since I was a kid, right? Um, been a part of the ATS community since about. I actually took a little bit of a break from trucking games when I was driving truck in real life. So I didn't discover ATS until late 2017. Dan Eichhorn actually introduced it to me. We were working at Scotland Transport together, and he was telling me that he plays this trucking video game. I'm like, oh yeah, like 18 Wheels of Steel. He's like, no, it's called American Truck Simulator. I'm like, American Truck Simulator? I'm like, I didn't know that was out, right? So I started playing it, and next thing you know, I'm, every weekend when I'm not driving truck in real life, I'm driving truck on my computer, right? But what was the second part of the question there? Sorry.
And asking how do you like the work?
Oh, I love it. Honestly, it's really great because it's like I said, I was kind of tired of trucking. I kind of was looking to get out of it, so I still get to put my knowledge to use. I still get to be involved in the trucking industry. I get to go to these business trips where I get to meet with the partners and get my hands on these new trucks and stuff like that. So it's awesome. Honestly, it's like a dream come true. I don't think I ever could have imagined that I'd be working for a video game company about trucks when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I was going to die in a Peterbilt, and here I am,
That's a good answer. I like it. They also did have one more question which they added on the end there. It might be a bit more personal. Feel free if you do want to answer it or not. But they're asking, do you plan to stay at SCS, or do you feel like, in the future you would switch to something else within the industry?
No, honestly, I can't see any reason I would want to leave. It's really awesome here. I love Prague. At first, it was a little touch and go. It was so different. It was so new that I wasn't sure, where, what life in Prague was going to be like long term. But you get used to it, and it's it's becoming home for me, right? So Czech Republic, I'm loving it here. I've got friends here now. I've got a girlfriend here who's amazing, and
awesome.
I'm loving the job. So yeah, I'm not going anywhere. As far as I'm concerned, I'll maybe learn to speak Czech in the next 25 years or so and try and get my citizenship.
I feel you on that. Yeah. That's going to take some time. I remember trying to learn as well, and it's such a difficult language with a lot of different pronunciations, and having to remember the kind of gender-based things as well with the male, female, and neutral, and
it's a nightmare. But I'm blessed because so many people in the company here speak really, really good English, and even those whose English maybe isn't that great, we still find a way to communicate. And everyone's been really accommodating because you're really I'm the one that doesn't speak Czech, right? So they have no obligation to have to speak with me, but everyone does their best, and it's been really, really good on their part, really helpful, and really it's just really, really made me feel welcome here for sure.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same how it was when I moved there as well. Everyone really did their best to kind of make me feel comfortable and welcome, and we're not speaking the language. So we appreciate everybody. Thank you for putting us up with us, English speakers. Hopefully we're not too much of a hassle. We got our next question here then coming in from Marcelo Julio, asking, what was it like adapting to Prague when you first arrived? You said you found it quite difficult. Well, what kind of aspect? Was it more like the culture, or was it just
I think it was more just intimidating, right? I'm so far from home. I'm living in this foreign city. Everything's so different. I'm used to having a car to drive everywhere. Now I'm having to take public transport for the first time in my life anytime I want to go somewhere. I was really intimidated by the language at first. Now I've learned that at the end of the day, people will work with you. You go into a grocery store and the lady doesn't speak English, you just make it obvious, oh, sorry, I don't speak Czech. And they're just okay, scan your card and get out of here, right?
Yep.
But, the big thing that helped, I think, was making friends here at SCS, making friends outside of SCS. And a lot of my friends outside of SCS actually are fellow expats. I have friends from Argentina, from Turkey, from Germany, from Austria, from Romania, and we're all people who don't speak Czech. Well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of them do speak Czech, but a lot of them are, moved so far from home, and we've, this is almost this group of friends who we kind of are like a support system for each other in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's been really helpful. But yeah, it's just I think more than anything, it was just a comfort thing. I was outside my comfort zone. I was doing something I had never done before, because it wasn't just a new place. It was a new job. It was new everything, right? But yeah, now it feels like home. really.
That's great. That's great to hear. And you can always find little bits of home when you're living somewhere else as well. Like for me, I know we've talked about this before, but in Prague, shout out, is his name Eric, right? The Canadian barbershop
Oh yeah.
in
Yeah, I know
Prague,
that guy.
right?
I've been
And,
there. Yeah.
yeah, and even though I'm not Canadian, it was nice just to have, because he actually learned how to do barber and hairdressing in the UK.
Mm.
So he understands, because we kind of have a system over here where you can go to a barbershop and go, "Can I get a number 2?" And that's like a number 2 cut or number 3,
Right.
and that's a very English thing. And so for him to understand that, when I walked in, it felt like a bit of home. I'll walk in and say, "Eric, give me a number 3, give me a number 2," and he would know what it means.
That's actually
And,
the same in Canada and the US too. Like we have like number 2,
is it
number
actually?
3. Yeah.
Ah, okay, that's good.
So I went to the barber here at the office because we have a barber who comes in a couple times a month, and I went to the barber and asked him for a number 2, and he's like, "Do you mean like 2mm?" I'm like, "I don't know, number 2. You tell
I
me."
don't know what the measurement is, right?
You're the barber.
Yeah, I never know what it's actually mean. But that's good to know that they do use it elsewhere. But it was it just felt like a nice little bit of home, and
Yeah.
obviously finding maybe like some little imports at the shop here and there from the UK or from wherever. So yeah, you do find little things that do make it feel like home, and then eventually is home, after a while. So that's really nice. Next question coming in from Mile54 Productions. They say, thanks for doing a neat Q&A. Their question is, what is your favorite truck that you've driven?
Oh, favorite truck I've driven. That is a really good question. I think it's got to be. So we talked earlier about some of my dad's trucks, and the gray Peterbilts that he had was actually a truck I would buy later in my career. In 2015, I bought it off him. Not that one. Keep going. Keep going. There it is, right there.
Hey.
So
nice.
this was after a few years. My dad had taken the horns and lights off the roof, and going for that kind of shaved look. He put the straight pipes on it, but otherwise, that's exactly the way the truck looked. What's going on there, Jacob? Okay, so yeah, so that was a truck I actually bought in 2015. So that's a really fun truck to drive. It's 475, 1850 foot-pounds of torque, Cat 6NZ, 2003, the last year of the pre-emission Cats. So it makes all the right noises, and it's a lot of fun to drive. There it is at the Iowa 80.
What a beautiful picture that is.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in September 2015, I was hit by a JB Hunt truck while I was sitting in a parking lot sleeping in the back.
Sabotage.
Yeah, so he pulled out of the parking spot where that International is currently parked, and he just took my fender and bumper and just destroyed them. So yeah, that truck ended up going to the shop, and if we go to the next slide, that's what it looked like when we were done with it.
Okay.
And I really wasn't happy with the look. I was trying to go for like this kind of minimalist look. I took all the lights off it. The only lights on that truck are the headlights and the lights on the lower corners of the bumper you can see. No chicken lights on the air breather, no chicken lights down the side of the bunk, nothing on the roof. The roof was completely no lights at all, because I always pulled that trailer that you can see behind me, and that trailer actually completes the requirements for the DOT. You know that you have to have those 5 lights on the roof of the truck? Yep. Like you have right here. We got 7 on this one. So because they were on the trailer, I actually didn't need them on the truck, and I was always hooked to that trailer. So that was... I tried it. I tried something new. I didn't really like it. So we went back to the drawing board, and we came up with this. We put the original headlights back on, but we added some lights to it too in the visor there. You can't see them. They're hidden. They're these little LED, 2 LED diodes that sit just on the top of the visor. And is that guy going to let me in? Yeah, he is. So there's the truck, and, of course, the same trailer. And if we go to the next one... Yeah, there it is. Waiting to get loaded in Whitby, Ontario. You can see the old GO train there in the background. Anyone from Toronto will know the GO train. Let's go to the next one. So for a while there, I was hauling some... that was a really fun job. I had a kind of a little gig there where I was just running to the other side of Toronto twice a day. So I'd load in Whitby, drive to Cambridge, come back empty to Whitby, and I was hauling these raw billets, which they would then shape into different kinds of steel. And got to pull a 4-axle trailer, about 130,000 pounds.
Dang.
Let's go again to the next one. Yeah, there she is at night. So you can see those lights on the visor. So they're hidden during the day, and in the bumper as well. The ones on the bumper there are kind of hidden during the day. You can't really see them unless you're looking for them. Ooh. and but at nighttime it lights up, nicely. It's not too much, not too little.
I like
think.
it.
Yeah,
Minimalist. Yeah, I like it.
What else we got there? We got another one. Yeah, there she is with the tandem.
You got some nice pictures of your truck, I gotta say.
That's my favorite one. That was in Utah in a rest area.
Nice.
You can kind of see the red mountains and the desert there in the background.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just a fun truck to drive. It's a blast.
Dang.
Of course, for a while there, we had the pig on the top of the grill there, the pig hood ornament with the wings.
With the wings.
Yeah.
Pigs can fly.
Another one there with the big trailer.
Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing those. Yeah.
I'd say by far it's probably the most fun truck to drive. And it's old school, too, interior. It's got all the old toggle switches instead of the rocker switches. It's even got the windows. They're air up and down, not electronic.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's a really cool
That's
truck.
Different. That is different. Dang, that is cool. All right, moving on to our next question. We have Quark from our forum here saying, hey, Mark, here are my questions. Number one, have you ever had the opportunity, for whatever reason, to drive a European truck?
Nope.
Never. We gotta change that. We gotta change that. I mean, which one would you go for if you had a choice?
That's a good question. I mean, Scania, I feel like, if I can make a comparison, is like what I see as like Peterbilt and Kenworth being in the U.S., right? In the U.S., the Peterbilt and the Kenworth, they're generally seen as like the top dogs, those long hood trucks, right? And those are the guys you see decked out in like Caterpillar hats and Peterbilt stuff and everything, right? And I feel like Scania has that same kind of culture here. We get these really diehard fans. They think Scania is the best, and everything else is like, not as good. Like they're just really kind of toxic, and I love that. I love that kind of attitude. So I feel like I definitely want to try a Scania V8. But honestly, I'm interested in all of them. DAF looks like really cool trucks, really comfortable trucks. The the XG Plus, especially with that new big cab. Volvo, Iveco, Renault, like on it, Mercedes. Honestly, I love the chance to go at any of them, really, because I've driven nothing like that. I've driven a cab over very briefly, like just on like a little joyride, old Peterbilt 362, and that's about it. So I really have like no experience with these setback axle cab overs from Europe, right? I've sat in one once. I sat in a Scania at Truck World 2022 one time. That's it. They had one weird there. Yeah.
Was it weird, like sitting in the truck? Would you say?
I was surprised how small it was. I had this idea that the cabs were like really wide. So when I got in there and the passenger seat wasn't as far from me as I expected, I was kind of surprised. I thought it was going to be like I thought the cabs were kind of like a lot kind of wider and taller inside. But it wasn't a top line or anything. It was a low roof Scania. It's this kind of vocational off-road model that they're trying to sell in North America. Like a haul truck kind of thing. It's got 5 axles. It's like super heavy duty. So I'm sure like a typical top line S model probably has a lot more room in it.
Okay. Interesting to know. Their second question is hypothetically asking, with the time you spent in the Czech Republic and now thus experiencing typical European cities and roads and rest stops and other stuff up close, could you ever see yourself as a European truck driver?
Not a chance. No way. No way.
Man.
The culture is so different in Europe. Like trucks are often limited to the right lane. They're limited to 90 kilometers an hour electronically with an 80 kilometer an hour speed limit most places. The truck stops don't seem very nice. Like a lot of the time, they're just kind of rest areas and they're very small with not a lot of facilities. I have to hand it to European truck drivers. It seems like a lot harder life here than it is in North America. My hat's off to them. I mean, they must be real tough guys, but I don't think I could swing it here.
Understandable. I want to say, do you know what would be fun if we did like an on the road thing where like you got put in the boots of a European truck driver for like a week or something like that, just to experience it, and then just be like, then see how you go. That would be pretty fun.
I wouldn't last very long. I don't think those guys are tougher than I am for sure.
That'd be pretty cool, though. That would be cool. And their third and final question from Quark on the forums: what was your most favorite your favorite route or road segment you've driven as a truck driver in North America, and why?
That's a good one.
There's a good one. There's a lot of roads in North America, so.
So I got some regular routes that I liked. So like if we talk like routes, like the overall run from Whitby to wherever I was going,
Hmm.
probably the run to Nebraska was really nice because it gave me a chance to run out west through the western Illinois and Iowa and kind of take a break from the hustle and bustle of the East Coast traffic. We used to run out to Norfolk, Nebraska. Pretty much weekly, we have at least 1 or 2 runs going there. My dad's company. So that was like probably my favorite overall route. But my favorite actual road to drive on has to be is it 167 or 191 or something that goes through Monument Valley in Utah and Arizona? It goes
Okay.
from Moab down south to into Monument Valley. That is by far my favorite road to drive on. Like it's just so stunningly beautiful. It's like
Mm.
nowhere else in North America. The things you see there, the terrain and the natural kind of monuments as they call them, right? The buttes and the what are they called? Buttes and mesas.
Mm.
Just so incredibly beautiful. If anyone ever has a chance to go there, it's amazing.
I'll keep that in mind for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
Yeah, our colleague Oscar was just there on vacation.
Yeah, he's been traveling around, hasn't he? I'm excited
Yeah.
to. Maybe we should do an ask me anything with Oscar one day as well.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
That'd be good, yeah, because he's had a bit of experience on both sides as well in terms
Yeah.
of Europe and America. So we'll see. But yeah, thank you everybody so much for your questions. We're still answering questions for the forum. We may have a little bit of time at the end here for some questions from the chat as well, but keep them coming. Question here from San_Sunny4. And this is a fun question, asking, would you rather fight one Nemiro-sized duck or 100 duck-sized Nemiros?
One Namiro-sized duck
Yeah.
or 100 duck-sized Namiros.
Yes.
100 duck-sized Namiros, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100.
without a doubt. I don't even need to think about that one.
I'm not going to ask the reasons and why. We're not going to get into depth on that question, but good to know. Good to know. And final question here on the forums, if there's no others coming in from... I know another one just came in, but B9Bot1 asking, are you giving input to the truck mods and models that are coming out in American Truck Simulator? Is a question coming in?
To a certain extent. So, deciding what we do is more kind of up to the manufacturers and Oscar and what they're able to negotiate. We as a team can like ask what we can have, but kind of they tell us. I shouldn't say they tell us, but generally there'll be more of a like certain things that they'll want to see done, right? Like they want to see their newest, greatest models displayed in game. Generally speaking, right? It's I think they probably see it as a marketing tool, right? To a certain extent. So I don't really have any input on that. That's more Oscar's probably thing, Oscar and Pavel and all the higher up people here. But when they are working on it, I definitely help the vehicle team with input among certain things, chassis configurations, sleeper configurations. Recently when Andy was working on the International LT, he was, doing a significant overhaul on that. So I was able to help him quite a bit and get some parts put on that truck, which the community I think was looking for. I always try to think of less about what I would want on there and more about what generally the community as a whole would want to see on it, right? So yeah, I try to help anywhere I can, for sure.
Interesting to know. Good stuff. We got another one here coming from Zek. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Zayford? Zayford? I hope that's correct. I apologize. Not any major questions, but just happy to have you on the team. They say they're a language education expert.
Oh.
So they said if you ever need any advice on how to tackle learning Czech, they're always happy to help. Do you do German as well, by any chance? I'm trying to learn German at the moment. That would be very helpful. They're interested to know what you knew about Czechia before you moved there, if anything at all.
Honestly, I didn't know nothing about. I didn't know anything about Czech Republic. It's funny, in Canada, we really don't learn a lot about Europe or really anywhere in the world. We really only learn about Canada and very briefly some stuff about Great Britain and America. But most of what we learned about the Czech Republic was they still referred to it in the textbooks as Czechoslovakia because it would have been like during World War II and stuff like that, right? But I did do quite a bit of, like, when I learned I was going to be coming here, I did do quite a bit of research into it. I wanted to learn, everything I could. So I learned about, you know, um, southern Bohemia during like the
Hmm.
1600s and 1700s, and especially I learned a lot about, in the 20th century, what happened here with communism and everything like that, the breakup between Czech Republic and Slovakia, and more recent history and stuff like that. So I tried to educate myself so I knew what I was getting into. By then, I had already decided I was coming. So it wasn't like a
Hmm.
matter of like, learning the history and deciding whether I was going to come here or not. It was more just being educated about where I was going to be going.
Understandable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I was the same as well when I moved there as well. I didn't really know much about it. I did know, and I'm very sorry to everybody in Czechia, but I did know that Prague was a very popular destination for the lads to go out for their hen do's and like the lads' nights out, or whatever, because drinks are pretty cheap. Let's just say that. So I knew that much. Bachelor parties and whatnot as well. So otherwise, I didn't know too much myself. All right, time's going fast. Let's keep it rolling then, because we have a few questions here as well from one of the discords that you also frequent in.
Mhm.
Um, First and foremost, we got one coming in here from Bam Osborne asking, what have you already done or suggested to improve the gameplay? Have you made anything that's kind of made it into the game, I guess is what they're asking in terms of like
Okay.
improvements and stuff. Would you
That's a
say
good
there's
question.
anything as of yet?
Probably, again, the international LT is probably where I had the most kind of input in recent memory that I can
Hmm.
talk about. There's other projects that are going on, of course, that are upcoming, which I'm involved in. Um,
Hmm.
Unfortunately, Namiro would kick me right out of the country if I said anything about it. So unfortunately, that's all I can say. But that will be a project that I feel like I had significant input on, and I hope the community will enjoy it. So I look forward to when that releases and what they think of it.
All right. Look
Mm.
forward to it. The one for the future for sure. Um, we got another one here coming from Harvard as well, saying that you already talked about this one a little bit on the stream previously. It's about changing gears.
Ah,
They said they would like you to do a bit of a deep dive in the subject, like double clutching versus floating and how both methods work or not in American Truck Simulator. Clutch brake, what it is, and if it's correctly implemented in ATS, and anything else you would like to add. And have you ever engaged the clutch brake by mistake while driving? And if so, did you do any damage?
this is something that I don't know if I can drive and explain at the same time.
I was gonna say, and
It
maybe not in
is,
a short time frame either, because
yeah,
we're coming up to the hour. Yeah.
it is very technical. Jacob, do you think you can turn on this camera? So I'm
Look
actually
at
going to
that
pause the
view.
game here. Basically, in a real truck transmission, there is no synchronizers between each gear. So you can't just, like if you're driving, you can't just push in the clutch and shift into gear, push in the clutch, shift gear. Like if you were to do that, you can get away with it upshifting, but downshifting especially, you'll just go grinding and you won't ever actually get it into gear. So what you have to do in a big truck is what we call double clutching. So I'm going to try. Hopefully, you can see what my leg's doing down here when my hand is here. But basically, you're going to put your clutch in. You have to put it all the way to the floor to the clutch brake. Because there is no synchronizer and the transmission is stopped and your flywheel is spinning because of the engine, when you push in the clutch, the input shaft is actually still spinning for a moment.
Hmm.
So you have to push it all the way to the floor, and that puts the clutch in contact with the clutch brake, and that stops the input shaft from spinning. And that allows you to put it into gear, because obviously if one gear is in motion and one gear is stationary, they're not going to want to mesh. So when you stop that input shaft, you're able to put it into first gear. So then you're going to take off, start driving. Yeah, you can't really see what I'm doing. So you let off the clutch, start driving, give it some acceleration. And when you got to go to the next gear, what you have to do is clutch into neutral, let the clutch out, let the engine slow the input shaft speed. Then you push the clutch in again, and you're able to grab the next gear. Timing is everything. There's no science to it. There is technically an RPM amount that should drop, but that's going to change depending on the load, depending on whether you're going uphill or downhill. It's just something you have to learn to feel out, right? And so you have to do that between every gear. You have to clutch into neutral, clutch into gear. Clutch into neutral, clutch into gear. Downshifting is even more complicated because now you're throwing the throttle into it. So let's say I'm in top gear and I want to come down a gear. I have to, so clutch is out. So I'm going to push the clutch in, bring it to neutral, give it some accelerator, push the clutch in, and put it into gear. And again, you have to give it the right amount of acceleration. If you give it too much, it'll grind. If you don't give it enough, it'll grind. We generally err on the side of giving it more throttle because at least the RPM will drop and it should fall into gear. So it's very complicated, and probably 99% of truck drivers never do it after they pass their CDL test. What we do instead is we just do what we call floating the gears. So when you're in gear and you're on the throttle, you can't actually pull it out of gear. There's too much pressure on the gears because the engine is torqued up and putting all that pressure on the gears, right? And if you let off the throttle and try to pull it out of gear, it's the same thing, because now you have the natural engine breaking down force. The engine wants to slow down, but now the wheels are keeping it forward. But there's a sweet spot in there where as you let off the throttle, she'll actually pull into neutral. And in the same way you let the RPM fall when you're double clutching, when you're at the right RPM, she should just pop right into gear. And it's something you'll learn over time. The reason they don't want you doing this, and a lot of driving schools teach you double clutching, and the reason why a lot of governments want you double clutching when you do your test, is because you can damage the transmission this way if you're not doing it right. You can damage the drive shaft. You can even damage your rear end gears. So the idea is when you're in the clutch, even if you miss a gear, the only thing you can do is damage the teeth of the gear you're trying to go into. Because you're disconnected from the driveline, you're disconnected from the engine, hypothetically, there should be no other damage that occurs. Whereas, if you've got this, engine with 1,850 foot-pounds of torque and you just smash it into gear, you could cause real damage, right?
Yeah.
The clutch brake, that's all its job is when you're at a stop, the only purpose of the clutch brake is just to slow down that input shaft to a stop, so you're able to put it into gear without it grinding. If you hit the clutch brake while you're in motion, it's like applying the brakes in a car, right? But the clutch brake doesn't have nearly enough power to actually slow down the truck. So all you'll do is just wear out the clutch brake very, very quickly, and then you won't be able to get into gear when you're stopped, right? So it's kind of a pain to change the clutch brake. It can be done without dropping the transmission, but it's a nightmare. And generally speaking, you try to save your clutch brake as much as you can. And the way the clutch brake is accessed, if I can show here, if my hand is the clutch, when your clutch is all the way out, obviously it's all the way out, and when you push it in about halfway, the clutch is actually disengaged at that point. When you go all the way to the floor, that's when you're actually hitting the clutch brake. So you'll see, like in driving school videos, they tell you not to push the clutch all the way to the floor. That's why, because that's when you're engaging the clutch brake.
Wow.
So I know that was a lot of words.
That
was a lot of technical stuff and a lot.
You might need to replay that.
Yeah. So.
Well, I like what F4 Ank Plays says on our YouTube chat, where it says, "Nice explanation. I'm gonna go for the automatic." Is what they said. That's a lot. I feel like we need our own stream dedicated just to really get into the nitty gritty of that sort of gear stuff. I think it would be very, very interesting to get into the technical stuff. So maybe one for another stream. But if you need to go back and watch that, luckily this live stream will be available to rewatch again on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/SCS Software. Yes, I'm giving the plug. That's a good segue. I like it. You can rewatch the explanation again if you want to learn how to float gears and stuff like that as well. So there you go. Well, time is running out really quickly. And unfortunately,
how much time we got left?
It's 6 o'clock. Oh, sorry, 7 o'clock now, even.
Okay.
So we got about 5-10 minutes left. So I feel bad, Twitch chat, that we haven't really taken questions from you. So I suggest we do some hot round of questions where, chat, I'm going to get you to spam as many kind of quick, simple questions as possible. Please refrain from anything that we can't really answer. Stuff for future development, DLCs. We're not allowed to talk about these things, unfortunately. Once they're ready, but we can't, give out any announcements or anything. So if you have some questions for Mark, both on YouTube or on Twitch, now's your time to spam it in the chat. We'd love to hear your questions from you. But a massive thank you to everyone that did submit their questions via the forums and the Discords as well, because there's some really great questions there, some really, really good ones, and hopefully we can do more of this in the future.
We might even be able to do a part 2. Yeah. I think we still have quite a few
I
questions
think
left,
we might have to, yeah. All right, here we go. Hot questions coming in. First, Air Cruise 1, what's your favorite food?
Pizza, Hawaiian pizza. We already know this. Moving on, next.
End the stream. Get out of here. Number 2, Scotty Mo asks, have you ever made a delivery in New York City?
Bronx, yeah.
Bronx, dang. Ours is looking for your credit card information, so we're not going to ask that question.
Yeah, not happening.
Yeah, ask me anything. There's a line. Sim Driver Dave asks, question Mark was talking about chicken lights. What are those and why are they called that?
I have no idea. Chicken lights are just like generally when you have a ton of lights. So some people will use it to refer to any kind of secondary lights that's just for decoration. Sometimes it's only when you have a ton of headlights. I think now it's kind of become more of just a general term for extra lights that might be along, in this case on this truck, we have chicken lights on the bottom of the cab and on the bumper, right? So it's just kind of a term for extra lights. I think it has to do with back in the old days of trucking, down in the South, like in Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia, the guys that ran the chicken trucks were the ones that kind of started this trend of just lighting your truck up front to back with lights. That's all I know. Moving on, next.
Okay. We have a question coming from the YouTube. From Guggo_man. Do you have a favorite NHL team?
No, because I used to be a Leafs fan and now I'm in recovery.
Okay. I'm guessing this is a question about kind of truck stops and petrol stations coming from TB Steelers fan 2001 _7NG. Mark, when you were in the States, did you prefer Loves, Pilot/Flying, or TA/Petro?
It really depends on the stop. Some Loves are great. Some of them have just absolutely terrible, dirty washrooms. Sometimes TAs are really nice, and sometimes the food is just garbage. Sometimes Pilots are really nice, and sometimes the parking lot is a place to guarantee your hood gets taken off by a JB Hunt truck when you're trying to take a nap in the bunk. So, it's kind of a toss-up. Each location kind of has good ones, and then when you're driving truck, you kind of get to know where the good ones are, and you'll have your preferences. The Petro in North Baltimore in Ohio off of 75 is a great one. I always stop there when I'm going through. Iowa 80 truck stop, also always great. They got so many amenities there for trucks. They got the truck museum, stuff like that, which is a TA. It's not TA. They're privately owned, but they sell TA fuel there. Flying J in London, Ontario, the J as we call it, is always a good stop. It's more about individual stop by stop than a general chain, I would say.
Okay.
But the jalapeno corn dogs it loves are top.
Sounds like something I need to try for sure then.
Oh, it's so bad, it's good.
Power Quality Center coming in for a question from the community saying, has Mark tried the Pro Mods Canada mod yet?
I have.
How do you like it?
It's pretty good. It's pretty well done. I was impressed with it for sure. A lot of fun. I look forward to... I know there hasn't been an update, I think, in a little while, so I look forward to seeing what they do next with it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it lets me live out my dream to be a Canadian trucker one day, because obviously I never did that in real life.
Shout out to our modding community.
It's honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's really good.
Yeah. ID Mooseman asking, should I use the clutch when I shift between high and low, or low to high?
That's a good question. I didn't really cover in the last one. So when you're shifting between high and low, like I'm doing right now, in the game you can just press it and it just moves back and forth, which isn't very, very realistic. In real life, what you do is when you're in low and you get some speed and you want to switch to high, you'll actually switch it up beforehand, let off the throttle, and it'll drop. When you want to go from high to low, again, you're off the throttle, switch it down, and then you would bring the RPM up. In the game, it just kind of slams down into low. But in real life, you would actually use the throttle to raise the RPM. You can use the clutch to do this, just to break the torque. So if you were going from high to low, you would break the torque with the clutch, and then you would have to apply the throttle to match the next gear or the next ratio. But yeah, generally, no. You shouldn't use it when you're just going high to low like this.
Okay, and another question really coming here from... Where did it go? I just lost it. Oh, no. I saw somebody asking about it. They were asking, do you prefer the Imperial or the metric system? But I can't see who actually asked that. Somebody did ask it.
I like U.S. Imperial system. Whatever you guys got going on Great Britain just confuses me. I don't know how much a stone weighs. Every stone weighs different.
That's fair. Okay, I understand that part. The stone thing is weird, but other parts are okay, Other parts are okay. Like the meters and grams and
Yeah, I mean, in Canada, we have a very unique system. Just as our English language uses a combination of English spelling and American spelling. Oh, I took that a little hot. We also, if you're talking, for temperature, for example, if you want to know the temperature outside, it's Celsius. If you want to know the temperature inside, it's Fahrenheit. If you want to know the temperature of the pool, it's Fahrenheit. If you want to know, we just kind of go back and forth depending on what it is we're talking about. If you ask somebody how tall they are, it's inches, feet and inches. But if you ask how far something is, it's kilometers. So we just kind of... I stall it.
Oh, no. Go back and forth between them. That came from Cubs on 7, by the way. Cubs on 7. Appreciate it. And I think
Give me 3 more real quick.
3 more questions.
3 more. We'll get her done.
Chat, give us 3 really quick questions. Let's go. 3 really quick questions. Nothing about the future. I see there's questions about features and stuff like that, but we can't answer those ones. Just any general quick 3 hot questions, funny or not.
Best color of truck.
Here we go. Yeah.
Depends on the truck.
Favorite checkered shirt.
Oh, favorite checkered shirt. Oh, that's a good one. They're all amazing, and I love them equally. Moving on.
How tall are you?
5'10".
5'10", and how many bricks do you weigh? Apparently, is another question as well.
How many bricks do I weigh? I think I'm about 2 washing machines. If you want to talk American.
Two washing machines. I love it. I love it.
Where did the beard go? I've seen that one come up a few times. So the beard was an unfortunate beard trimming accident. I was just trying to line it up nicely. I noticed it was getting like a little out of control. So I was just trying to line it up nicely, and I took a little too much off this side. So I went to this side, and then the shape was wrong. So I went back to this side to try and reshape it, and then next thing you know, it's just all gone. So
I've done that before, but I mean, I don't really have a beard. But when I have my fluff here, you know, I accidentally like went a bit too close and created like a little blank mark here in the middle, just kind of a bit of clean skin. And
oh yeah.
So I just went, well, we gotta go, you know, shave it all off, and then next day, you know, I'm getting ID'd again for things that are only 18, you know, so I look like a baby without it, you know. So,
yeah, a little life lesson for you young kids when you start shaving: less is more. Err on the side of taking less rather than more, because you can always take more off if you need to, but you can't make it grow back instantaneously. So
that is true. That is true. Well, there you go. Well, unfortunately, chat, we are going to have to call it there because we got to wrap things up here on the stream. But we really hope you enjoyed this kind of bit of a different Let's Play here, answering questions to Mark. And I've learned a lot. Mark, we appreciate all your knowledge and sharing with us your stories and more as well. We hope you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot about myself too.
No, it was good. We'll definitely have to do a part 2 at some point, or get some other people on the stream to do this sort of thing as well, because it is pretty fun. But of course, we appreciate all of you taking your time to come out here and watch us and ask Mark some questions, and well, just be here for the stream as well. But yeah, otherwise, that's all we have time for. Thank you everyone for being here this evening. We'll definitely carry on with more Let's Play streams in the future.
What are we forgetting, Alex? Come on.
What are we forgetting? Is it
chat?
Wrap up of the jobs? Raids?
Yeah.
Raids. Yeah. Of course we got to do a raid. We got to find somebody to raid on the Twitch. If you're joining us on Twitch, we got to find somebody to raid. Let's have a look here. Go to Twitch. Look at that. Mark's Trucks. What a beauty.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm just going to take a walk down memory lane here.
Just remember the good times.
I zoom in a little bit.
The good times.
Yeah, there we go.
What a beaut. What a beaut. All right. So, taking a look now on American Truck Simulator. Let's see who we can... If you have any suggestions, by the way, do let us know. But I'm going to find someone that's hopefully doing a bit of American trucking that we can raid. But yeah, if you've never joined us for a raid before, it's where we take all of you lovely people and we take you to a streamer who's currently streaming some trucking adventures on the road, and we surprise them with all of you. And we go give them some love and support and some follows as well. Let's have a look here. We have... Who do we have? We've got quite a few people streaming. Sorry, I do take a minute to find something. Who's this here? Someone's birthday. I think we should raid them.
That's not actually paint on the bumper. I just hit a car one time, and it kind of ended up looking like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Someone commented on this picture. I don't know why. It looks like there's a skull on the bumper.
Oh, right. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just, I rear-ended a Ford Fusion down in Virginia. They brake checked me a handful of times, so I gave it to them. And this is what it looked like after.
And that's how it ended up.
Yeah, I got a little skull there.
That's kind of cool, though. I like that.
Shout out to the guy that brake checked me. He gave me a cool skull.
Beachy Peasy Sandy. It's their birthday today. It's their birthday. So, chat, when we get over there, let's wish them a very happy birthday. Okay, lots of happy birthdays and lots of follows as well. Let's make sure that they are feeling love today. So let's go raid them. They're playing some American Truck Simulator right now. They are on the road, so we'll head on over there. But again, chat, thank you. We appreciate you. And a massive thank you as well to you, Mark. I hope
Yeah,
you.
no, thank you. That was
Yeah.
a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing something like this again. Yeah, thanks, chat, for tuning in, and thanks everyone on the forum and in chat for the questions as well. It was a blast. Yeah, so looking forward to the next one.
Yes, absolutely. We'll see you again all soon. Make sure to follow us on our social media for the next announcement of our streams, but I'm sure it'll be very soon, just around the corner. But until then, take care of yourselves and keep on trucking. We'll see you for the raid. Bye-bye, everyone.